So just like with fur, I'm going to start with a lighter pencil. I've created a cylindrical shape because scales are mostly found on snakes or lizards, and lizards have tails or bodies, and they aren't normally rounder. It's more of a cylinder shape, so that's what I've created here. When you're creating your scales, you want to start off with a grid-like structure that would wrap around the body. So they aren't flat creatures, they are rounded. So I'm creating, it's a slight S curve. It looks like that on my paper, and I'm following the curves of the drawing. I'm going one direction, and then I'm going to go the opposite. And this will create just a curved grid on my paper. So this is going to be the basic structure for my scales. So once I have my basic graph done, I'm going to start at the top and work my way down because scales are overlapped. So I'm going to start at the top. It's just a little curve shape, and I'm going to follow my grid. So I'm going to go all the way down my structure. Mine are ending up being pretty large. Yours might not be this large on your actual drawings if you are doing a snake or a lizard, some type of reptile. They will probably end up being smaller. So what we're going to start to see is just that basic shape that we associate with scales, which is the curved tops and bottoms like that. I'm going to have my light source come from over here. I'm going to add a little light bulb. So my light source is coming from over here. This means that this is where my highlighted areas would be, and this is where my shaded areas are going to be. Except scales are overlapping, which means they have naturally shaded areas. So I'm going to leave the top row for a second, and then I'm going to go into the bottom, and just the area where I have this curved angle, that's where I'm going to go in, and I'm going to add a little bit of shadow. Just any area where it might overlap. Already I'm starting to get that scaled appearance just by adding this slight bit of shading. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to focus on my darker areas on the shaded side. So I'm going to add another layer of shading underneath the scale. And then I'm going to create a gradient as I go down, because when you're looking at a scale, you do see the highlight on the edge, but you aren't going to see a shaded area. So I'm going to go in on the back side of my image and add those in. I'm also going to add a little bit of shading to the top. I went in with the 4B pencil first on accident, so that's why mine is looking a little bit grainier. So I'm going to go on the highlighted area and I'm just going to add a basic, very, very light shade over the top of them. And then I'm going to go in to the edge of the scale and take away a little bit of the graphite to create a highlight. And then another thing that I could do is I could even go down the center because they are shiny creatures and take away. I just tried to blow on my paper. That didn't work. I've been doing that all week. And I'm going to add that highlight in. I'm going to go back in with a very light pencil to just add a little bit more of definition to the areas that I erased. So that's going to be the scales.